Um, so for the last few weeks, we've been doing about macronutrients. So we did about carbs, we did about protein, we did about fats. I thought it's probably worth just finishing on micronutrients. Some of it you'll probably know a lot of. I haven't gone into too much detail, um, but it's just like a general overview, and then it's worth kind of mentioning supplements as well. Just because everyone asks, like, should I be taking this? Should I be taking that? Actually, you don't really need to be taking anything. Um, but depending on what you feel you might be deficient in, especially like those of us who are on a diet anyway, because the less food you have, the less likely you are to give yourself a chance of being able to get all of these things in. Hi, Anthony. How are you doing?
Hi, you okay? Hi.
Good, mate. I'm good. So I think it should already be recording, so we'll just crack on. Um, so micronutrients, we're talking about vitamins and minerals, essentially. And the important thing to remember with these is they don't actually have energy as such. There's no calorie content to vitamins and minerals. They're responsible for um, enabling energy use rather than having energy of their own. They regulate your metabolism, muscle contractions, your brain health, your immune system. So really important that you get a broad range of all of these. Small deficiencies in just one of them can have a bit of an impact on your body, especially those of us who are training hard and those of us who are in calorie deficits and not eating as much as everyone else. Yeah. So start with vitamins. Vitamins are organic compounds that your body can make vitamins, but it can't necessarily make as much as it needs. So you have to get vitamins from food. There's two basic types. You've got fat-soluble vitamins and water-soluble. Um, Fat-soluble vitamins can actually be stored. So, and this is why when we talked about fat in your diet, this is why I'm very keen on people having a quite high percentage of fat intake as part of their macros. If you haven't got adequate fat intake, then your body is not going to be able to absorb and use fat-soluble vitamins. This is probably even more important for people who are overweight to start with, because getting them in your diet's one thing and having a deficiency. If you are overweight and carrying more fat than other people, you have more storage that is going to effectively take up those vitamins and store it within your fat cells, which means that because it's being stored, it's not always readily available for your body to use. So actually, people who are overweight might need to supplement with fat soluble vitamins more so than someone who isn't, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So an overweight, like vitamin D, especially because that's probably the one that is more commonly low in people. People who are overweight tend to be more deficient in vitamin D because their body's holding onto it and they can't use it. So as we see there, fat-soluble vitamins are stored in the liver and the fatty tissues for later. Water-soluble vitamins cannot. There is no storage. So you have to get them in when you eat. Anything that's not used, it just gets flushed straight out. So if you're thinking about vitamin C use, I probably don't eat enough fruit, citrus fruits and berries to get the vitamin C. Probably get the basic, you know, the recommended daily amount that you see plastered all over vitamin tablets. I mean, the recommended daily amount is minute. When you see that this is 100% of the recommended daily amount, the recommended daily amount just means that is enough that you won't die. If that's not an optimum amount, it is literally if you have less than that, you're going to be in very, very poor health. I use those effervescent vitamin C tablets quite a lot, but I'll rather than just have a massive dose in one go, which is pointless because your body will only use so much of it and then you'll just wheel the rest out. Um, I would have them like once, twice, or three times a day. But that's just my personal preference because I don't eat enough oranges and things like that. Um, so water-soluble vitamins need to be replenished all the time. And that's why we keep going back to if you have a really varied diet with a good balance of everything, you're gonna get everything you need. As long as it is nice and varied and you have a good mix of vegetables, fruit, starchy carb, lean meats, dairy, and fish. Um, so looking at the fat soluble vitamins, vitamin A supports vision, your immune system, and cell growth, found in liver, eggs, dairy, and not your greens, but more colourful veg like carrots, sweet potatoes. Vitamin D, as we know, this is the one that you get that your body manufactures from sunlight, regulates calcium absorption and bone health, supports mood and immunity. Um, you'll probably read some things where they'll say if you live in the UK or darker areas, then take it in the winter. I've also read in other places that unless you live in the tropics and you're exposed to a huge amount of sunlight all the time, you're probably worthwhile supplementing with vitamin D all year round. I certainly do, and I have done for probably the last 2 or 3 years. And I can honestly say I've had less illness. I've noticed I've had a lot less illness in the last couple of years just from having vitamin D supplementation. Uh,
You're getting sad as well, isn't it?
SARS and antioxidant. What's that, sorry?
If you take vitamin D, it stops you getting sad, the seasonal affective disorder. When
Yes.
people get really, really, unhappy through the winter months.
Yeah. I used to get that a lot,
Yeah.
really bad. Um, yeah. Does anyone here take it?
Yeah, all year
Yeah.
round.
Oh, I'd say
Yeah. Literally swear by it. Like it's difficult to tell with supplements. Like it's not like actual, pharmaceutical drugs that do actually have a purpose and do work. Like I think any supplement that you take, there's a little bit of well, it might be or it might not. And sometimes when you start taking them, you might feel a difference, but then you've been taking them for years, and you're like, I don't actually know whether this is doing me any good or not. And you probably don't notice it until you stop taking it.
Mhm.
But then you end up with this whole record top shelf of your drawer with all these pills that you start taking, and you're probably not sure whether they're actually any good or not. But I think if you're covering all bases, especially from a vitamin and mineral point of view, then you can't really go wrong. Vitamin A acts as an antioxidant, protecting cells from damage, um, coming from nuts, seeds, and leafy greens. Vitamin K supports blood clotting and bone mineralization, again found in green veg and fermented foods. And again, as long as your diet includes a mix of all these different types of things, you're very likely covered. Um, and as we said before, if you live in anywhere that's not exposed near to huge amounts of sunlight every day, you probably want to be taking vitamin E all the time. To the point where we only buy kids vitamin tablets if they've got vitamin D in them, because quite a few of them don't have it. What total vitamins? So you're basically looking at B vitamins and vitamin C. So your B vitamins are responsible for converting food into energy, maintaining cells, and supporting the nerve. And these are what you'll find in meat, eggs, dairy, whole grains, leafy greens. Vitamin C plays a major role in collagen formation. It's an antioxidant, again, good for your immune system and helps iron absorption. Abundant in citrus fruits, berries, peppers. And I particularly eat a lot of citrus fruits. I do eat a lot of peppers and I do eat potatoes, but I probably don't eat a lot of like oranges and grapefruits and things like that. Because these vitamins are not stored, you do need to have them every day. But hence, this is the reason why we're all recommended to have your 5 a day. So, when should you use vitamin supplements? Most people with a decent diet should get everything they need. Again, those of us who are on calorie restriction It's not that we're not getting them, but we are. Let's say if your maintenance calories are 3,000 and you're on 2,000 calories, you're cutting your chances by 33% of whether you're going to get enough. So if you are in a calorie restriction, it is probably worthwhile just having that insurance of having something in the background if it's making sure you're getting your vitamins and minerals in. Vegans especially could probably look at vitamin B12 because it's less prevalent in their diets because it's more animal based, and vitamin D we talked about. Minerals are inorganic elements found in the soil and water that enter our food chain through plants and animals. Again, minerals do not have calorie content, so they don't have energy, they just help utilize energy. Essential for bone strength, nerve function, muscle contraction and hydration, and even hormone production. We've got macro minerals, which are taken in much larger amounts, so your calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium. Trace minerals like zinc, iron, and selenium, which are only needed in very small quantities. I think everyone knows what calcium is needed for. It isn't just for bones, it is actually really important for muscle contraction. So you do notice this if you've supplemented with calcium before and you train at the gym, you do actually notice a bit of a difference in your strength and muscle contractions when you take in additional calcium as well. Magnesium, again, help with energy production, sleep and recovery, found in nuts, seeds and whole grains. Who else here uses magnesium?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I read people's check-ins, probably one of the most common things about is I don't sleep very well. And we've started taking magnesium probably for about the past year to help with sleep. Sorry, was that you, Danny? Who was it said yes there?
Yeah, I take it. I also have a kids version for the kids as well. That's why I buy it.
Yeah. Do you find it helps?
Yeah, massively. We
Yeah.
even to the point where we went away last year for 2 weeks and I forgot to take my magnesium with us, and it did have an impact on my sleep.
Right.
Mhm.
And what I find with it is it doesn't stop waking up at 5:30 though, does it?
No, it doesn't stop that.
What I
I
find
just
it
feel
does
like
do,
I get to sleep easier.
get to sleep easier, and I think you stay asleep better.
Mm.
Like you're in a deeper sleep. I haven't covered it in these slides, but I also take ashwagandha on a night.
Yeah,
Now,
I do
whether
too.
or not that actually works, yeah, but I find it whenever I've taken it, I always find it has a calming influence. It's almost like people take it for anxiety because it definitely just brings you down a notch or two, and especially nighttime, I think that does kind of settle you into sleep quite a bit. Potassium and sodium. So these are the two main minerals that regulate your fluid balance. And the way this works is you hold high concentrations of potassium within cells and higher levels of sodium outside of the cells. So you do actually need enough of both. People seem to be very scared of using salt on their food, and actually you do need it. If you don't have salt, you are going to end up with more water. And so water flows from areas of um, different levels of concentration. So if your sodium's low, I got this right. Sodium's low but potassium's high. You're going to have more water entering the cell to regulate the solution to make sure that the amount of mineral within the fluid, like that ratio, is balanced out. So then what you end up with is very, very high concentrations of water within the cells, but very low concentration of water outside the cells, which is essentially your blood. So low sodium and high potassium is probably what's going to give you low blood pressure. and the other way around is going to give you high blood pressure. But essentially, you want high levels of both. Has anyone tried having salt before training or a little crack of salt in their intra workout
Have salty water
while you're training?
before running.
And have you noticed the difference it makes? Certainly, from a weight training perspective, the muscle pump you get when you've got salt in your water and when you're drinking as you're training is through the roof. Anthony, have you noticed that? Give that a
No,
go
I've not.
next time you're at the gym. Do a few
I'll put
fists of sea
Himalayan
salt
pink salt
into your
in.
drink. Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Swear by it. Absolutely swear by it.
Would electrolytes do the same thing, or that just
Electrolytes are essentially sodium and potassium.
right? Okay, because I take those. I use those Himantra electrolytes, and I put those in my water.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh. You need them if you're going to be doing really long, prolonged sessions of training, or you're going to be sweating a lot. Certainly for running, then yeah, 100%. Are we good so far on these ones? Any questions? Trace minerals, so iron, as we know, is important for transporting oxygen around in the blood, found in red meat, beans, and cereals. Zinc for your immune system, recovery, and hormone balance, and found in meat, shellfish, and nuts. And selenium, which helps as an antioxidant, found in Brazil nuts, seafood, and egg. And iodine, which helps regulate thyroid hormones from salt, fish, and dairy. So with these ones, we only really need very, very trace amounts. So it's probably unlikely that you're going to be deficient in this area. Why mineral supplementation helps? So most people can get enough minerals from the food, but certain situations you probably might need some more, as we've discussed. So athletes, people like us who are training, who are trying to lose weight, might need extra magnesium. Women on their cycles will probably need more iron. And as was talked about, people who are doing really high volume training, running and sweating a lot, you're going to need to up your sodium and potassium levels. Overdoing minerals like iron and zinc can cause more harm than good, so best probably not to overdo those ones. I do take zinc on a night. Zinc is meant to be good, especially in men, for helping regulate testosterone levels. And I have noticed if I've played around with the dosage, I've had the one tablet that the bottle suggests, and it's fine. I've tried two and woke up with blinding headache the next morning. So I don't know if anyone else has tried having or accidentally had too much zinc. It gives me a wild headache when I wake up. So watch out for that one. I think 50 milligrams is probably the standard dose for zinc. The big one that I think most of us are probably on, if you're not on, I would highly recommend it. So creatine. Creatine is naturally occurring compound made from amino acids, arginine, glycine, and methionine. It is mainly stored in your muscles. So basically, when creatine is stored as phospholipid, it's like a backup storage that or a substance called ATP. So ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This is the chemical that your muscles actually use at the moment they contract. So that is when you need that short burst of energy and the signals from your brain tell your muscle to do something, it's adenosine triphosphate, which actually it creates that spark and start the contraction. Your muscles can only hold or your cells can only hold so much of this stuff before it runs out, and that's when you start to fatigue. That's when your sets drop off. You'll notice you get to so many reps, then all of a sudden you can't go, and that's it. Supplement with creatine allows you to store a much higher percentage of phosphocreatine, which is your backup supply, which then feeds back and creates more ATP in the cells. So what you'll have noticed for those of you who've started taking creatine is you can start to get that extra 2, 3, or 4 reps in a set, because the ATP that would normally run out is getting refilled, and it allows you to keep going. Obviously not forever, because you've still got muscle fatigue, your muscles are still breaking down, they are going to stop somewhere, but having additional creatine in your system is going to push your endurance levels a little bit further. This is especially used up in short bursts of energy, so anything anaerobic, short sprints, heavy lifts, basically all the stuff that we're doing. So for those of you on the call or who aren't taking creatine yet, it probably is highly advisable. Do you need it? No, you don't need it. It's cheap enough. You can take it all year round, and there's enough studies out there now saying that you may as well, because there's actually no known side effect, and the benefits that you do get have been proven. So well worth it, in my opinion. Creatine also increases the water content inside your muscle cells, so it volumizes the cells. It basically helps push water into the cells themselves, into the muscle fibers. So you will notice when before taking creatine and after taking creatine that you will just feel and look bigger, especially when you're training. This is why when people start taking it, they'll gain maybe 2 to 4 pounds of weight in the first week, and it's not fat gain. It's not water retention under the skin. It's just water in the cells. So I've had a lot of people who kind of keep taking it and coming off it, and it's really annoying because it messes around with your weight. So when you've got someone and you're trying to manage their weight loss and manage their food and manage the training, and then they keep cycling on and off creatine, their weight just keeps fluctuating up and down like this, and you've got to have some consistency. Either take it or don't take it, but don't take it for a few days and go, oh, I forgot this weekend, and then start taking it again, because that constant filling your cells up, letting them drop, filling them up, letting them drop, it's going to baffle your head when you get on the scales and not realize why your weight's not doing what it should be. For recovery, creatine helps reduce muscle breakdown and inflammation while promoting protein synthesis, meaning your body's better equipped to rebound sessions. It's also been found to have very powerful cognitive benefits. Again, your brain uses this same ATP chemical for the thought process and focus. So research has shown now that by supplementing with creatine, you can enhance your mental ability, your concentration. You become more resistant to fatigue. So previously, the recommendation was 3 to 5 grams of creatine per day. People are now saying that you can safely take much higher than this. People are now recommending 5 to 10 grams, or potentially even more than 10 grams, without any negative side effects. I take 10 grams most of the time. It was mainly by accident more than anything else, because I just forgot what a scoop was like. I would just dig in with a little scoop and just pull out a massive heaped scoop. But now on training days, I'll put a scoop in before I go training and a scoop after in the post-workout meal. And on rest days, I'll just have 1 scoop, but it'll be a big, huge one. Women potentially I have read some reports that recommend women actually take even more than men. Um, some people don't seem to react very well to it. There is a thing called creatine loading, which used to be a thing years and years ago. So when you first started, the recommendation was that you took like 20, 25 grams a day for the first week. The idea being that you're front loading it into your system to get your cells saturated in it quickly. So then you could go into a maintenance dose of 5 grams a day. People are now saying that that's not necessary and you just start on 5 grams and keep going. But to me, if there's any, it's like one of those that is or isn't, but you might as well. So if you've got a big tub of it and it hasn't really cost you that much money, why would you not load it for 5 days just to make sure, rather than it's just one of those things for me. You may as well do it. But then once you're on it, there's very little point in coming off. Is there anyone in the call who doesn't take creatine?
I don't, just because I tried it
No?
and it made me sick.
Really?
Mhm.
That's interesting. In what sense?
No, I was just sick. I'm 3 days in a row after within about half an hour of having it, I was just sick. So I don't know if it's
Really?
something in the brand that I've got. I don't know.
Are
But
we
I didn't
having
try
it?
it
We having it
again.
with food, or what
No,
time of
just
day?
water. Well, just putting it in water and drinking it.
Right. I know Mike, who's not on the call, he struggles with it a bit. I do know one or two people who say that it knocks their digestion, or they get bad guts. One thing, if I've ever come off it, it's maybe because I've been on holiday and forgotten to take it with us, and then when I get back, I've had to start it again, and I've noticed when I started again, particularly for the first 2 or 3 days, I just get ridiculously thirsty because of the additional water that your body wants. I'm drinking gallons of water. It just makes us really thirsty, but then that subsides after a few days. I've never ever had any stomach issues, but I know Mike does. And I think a couple of other people have said similar things. I don't know what to suggest. Could be a brand thing. It could be, a case of, do you have it with food or have with what?
Try it slower with food, because I literally have just taken it on an empty stomach before working out. So I might give it a go again, potentially after I've had some food.
Like I honestly don't think it matters when you have it either. If you're taking enough of it per day to keep your level saturated, it shouldn't really matter what time of day you take it.
Okay.
I'll mix it with anything. I don't even notice it's there. I was talking to Hannah today, and she was like, "Oh, I don't like the one from Lidl. It's too bitty, and I don't like the taste of it." I'm like, "But I'll mix a scoop with like a big 2 liter thing of water and juice. Like, there's no way I'm tasting creatine in there. Like, it's gone. I'll even mix it with rice pudding. Like, my post-workout meal at the minute is a tin of rice pudding with a scoop of whey, some sultanas, and I'll stick the creatine in that as well. And you honestly do not notice it at all. So
I've got the one of Nutrition Geeks, and that it just dissolves in water into nothing. You don't even taste it.
some of them do, some of them don't. Like most of the ones I've had in the past, they don't really dissolve very well, and it doesn't matter how hard you stir it, it still just sits. You just get that little white film at the bottom that's a little bit gritty. But like, I'm really bother me. I'll just make anything. I'm forced.
I've got the My Protein one, and it's the same. It just dissolves into water, no bother.
Right.
Yeah, I might try that Geeks one, see what that's like, see if it's different.